MP Robert Miller, are you there?
Yes, Rob.
Morning, how are you? I'm well, thanks.
It's actually afternoon now.
It is, thanks so much for the correction. This station, as you know, and this program particularly beams to people in the diaspora, Robert Miller, and we're very anxious to speak with you as a member of Parliament for part of Portmore. Many people who are listening to us have property in Portmore, maybe rented out with members of their family, and they might have some concern as to the levels of social order, whether you are suffering from the same crime difficulties at other parts of Jamaica. Give us a fix about this hopeful city of Portmore.
All right, first let me welcome you to the bridge. I'm actually a family to the bridge. I've been in studio twice already.
Yes, that's great.
So let me welcome you.
Thank you so much.
Well, the social decay in Portmore, Portmore is a beautiful place. It's a sunshine city. The trust of the current administration is to turn Portmore in the 15th parish, which was approved by the Joint Select Committee in Parliament and should be discussed in Parliament early in the legislative year as soon as Parliament resumes.
Yes.
There are some issues in Portmore. The government and a whole, I'm really pushing for it as well in terms of more development, especially in green areas for children to play mainly and family settings. So in particular, the area right in front of Portmore Mall, which is the face to the constituency that I represent, it's a dust nuisance for years, and I want to transform it into a state-of-the-art, park similar to that of Emancipation Park. Since I was elected September 3rd, 2020, there has been a lot of crime and violence, especially in the Bridgeport area. And the Waterford area in particular, those are the two hotspots currently now in the constituency. I know.
Pause there and tell me, why are they? A couple of things, Robert. First of all, I'm letting you know that I'm joined on the program by co-host the Honourable Pernell Charles Sr., and I'm sure that the chief himself,
who is a father of mine.
Well, didn't know that too. He has many. Yes. He has many foster sons.
In church, everything,
Well, that's great.
Room and all of that.
Let me ask you this though. You mentioned social decay in Portmore. The majority of our listeners would prick up their ears because Portmore, we don't expect social decay there. We expect.
Right, so you find the sewage area. I have a bad sewage issue in my constituency. So basically, every week I can get at least 3 collapses in the constituency. And a lot of persons don't know about the pipes for the sewage in the constituency. They are asbestos, but it's not damaging unless it is broken.
Yes.
So basically what the NWC is doing now, and they have been responsive through
National Water Commission.
Yes, they have been responsive because what they're doing now, so the collapse will come. Mm-hmm. They will just change out the pipes because the central government really don't have the resources, from what I'm hearing, to really change out everything.
But
right?
Hello, sir, one moment. Help me on this one because it's a broader issue, but critical for us to address. Because all your constituents, all the residents of Portmore are paying this 100% of whatever their water rate is for sewerage. Now you tell me that's how it seems to you. Is it fair? Honourable Pernell,
No,
I raised with Robert Miller too. If I'm paying
fair
for something and not getting the service, that not right?
I was minister.
No, it's not fair, personally. But bear in mind also, as I said, the decay of the social fabric, right?
Yeah.
So those pipelines were implemented way back over 50 years.
Right.
But
also as it is, it cannot take the load because Portmore has developed and has evolved.
But that's not the problem.
Hold on now, MP. Let Pernell respond, please.
I am concerned.
Yes.
Have been concerned.
Yes.
Was minister.
Yes.
When all this administered under me.
Okay.
That people are living in many areas of Kingston.
Right.
Where there's no sewage connection at all.
Yeah.
And every month they have
100%
water rate and sewage.
Yes.
And I honestly don't think it is fair.
Taxation without representation.
No, it's not. It's not fair,
Taxation with representation,
no service.
but without performance.
Yes. So Robert Miller, I'm sure you raised this as an avid representative.
But could I disturb you a minute before you go?
Sure.
From I was minister, and this is in the 1980s.
Yeah.
More than
I just lost you there. Sorry about that.
More than 50% of the water commission pipes should have been changed.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
there was a World Bank, put it this way, either application or announce that the pipes, the money for changing all pipes in the urban area was granted.
Yeah.
You would be surprised to hear that, I don't know if it's low or no, more than 50% of the water.
It is lower, but it's serious still.
Hold on.
Wasted.
Water that has been collected from St. Thomas,
purified,
transmit,
Yes.
have been chlorinated,
right.
Yes.
have been transmitted to Portmore and to other areas, to all of you, go to waste.
Yeah.
More than 50% of the water go to waste.
It's probably the same in connection with the supply to Portmore, isn't it, Robert Miller?
Portmore would not be as bad as that, because the pipes there would have been newer pipes.
Yes, but they're still wearing out now, as MP says.
Well, don't you know that there was a time when there was a call for what a pipe name now? Asbestos pipe.
Which is what he's saying. But what they're doing, you indicated, is they're replacing whenever there's a collapse, but there's no whole-scale renovation of the system. Not yet.
Okay. Not yet.
Yeah. But Ronnie, it takes millions.
Yes, it does.
And I have never been in agreement. They brought top guys who know more than me, that there is a deterioration of these pipes, and it is a dust from the deterioration
which causes the cancer.
Causes the problem.
Yeah, but MP, now, wow. So you have a difficult word for your constituents then, because you're telling them, look, we'll fix it as it goes, but don't look for there's a long-term solution that is still eluding us.
Well, both of you were once in the system. You're my seniors in this political arena, and you know what it takes to lobby on behalf of the people.
Well,
you know?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
So I've been lobbying.
Yes.
You know, but it all depends if the resources are there. Right. I've had intensive meetings with the National Water Commission. I've had intensive meetings with the minister who's responsible for water.
Yes.
You know, Senator Albin Hill.
MP, you have two problems. You have people who are getting water that has a problem, and you have people who are not getting any water at all.
Yes.
And when do we decide to give?
The problem that we're having in the constituency, there's an area in the constituency over 71 years that did not have running water.
Really? Wow.
And I've fixed that since.
Good.
I'm elected. They have running water now, and they are connected.
Yes.
You know, there's a particular area as well that didn't have water as well off Portmore Lane, and they are connected now.
Right.
The problem that we're having in Portmore is the low schedule of water. So the water is very low, especially in the day, because as you stated earlier, Chief,
the pressure,
the pressure is moving from Spanish Town in this instance and diverted into Kingston.
Well, let me tell you something that I don't think you'll find out yet as MP. There's a large body of water that could serve all of that area, except the salinity is too high.
Yes.
And Moses Matalan. And let me tell you, whenever I call the Matalan name, I have to remember the amount of investment, intelligent investment, financial investment.
Well, he was a fine engineer.
In fact, we did all 3 years under Sierra.
Yeah.
With Moses, by the time we came up to Moses, said, here it is. But the point is this, that how do we desalinize that bungle of water to a level where it can be consumed? And I said, well, are we in a position to not consume all, but to use it for other domestic purposes? Right. Because the water is right out there.
Yeah. But tell me something. But moving beyond Portmore as a whole, you probably have, 350,000, 400,000 people living in this, what you call the Sunshine City, Robert Miller? Are you there?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. So it's infrastructure like water and sewerage are critical issues. But you spoke of these in your efforts in juxtaposition to the incidents of crime and violence in Bridgeport, and was there another community you mentioned?
Waterford.
What are
my constituency?
Yeah, what are the origins of crime there? You have any idea? I mean, we don't expect middle class communities to have high levels of crime and violence. What's up?
Well, since this year, there has been a lot of crime, especially in Bridgeport, which is shocking. But you find that the perpetrators of the crime, it's alleged that they're coming in from Kingston. To
where is it people not coming from? Remember that Portmore is the largest dormitory in the Caribbean. And you said a while ago, which I want to beg you take back.
What's that?
That it is not that class alone. The other class that carries the crime.
Yes.
There are some top class. That is major involvement.
Yes. Well, I'm acknowledging that. So, Robert Miller, this must be a headache for a member of Parliament. What liaison can you do with the people and the police? Are they cooperating?
They are cooperating because they are sharing information with the police. The police has cleared up some of the crime that has been committed since. I work closely with the JCF. I think Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips and his operation man, Upton Nicholson, is doing a fabulous job in terms of rebranding the South Division and also clearing up some of those crimes. Right. They are in the communities with the people. Yes. They are with the people, and they are trying their level best. We just ask the citizens to tell the police what you know. If they have no confidence in the police, speak to me personally, and I'll get the information out there, because we can't tolerate any crime and violence in the constituency at all.
Let me congratulate you, MP, because as a former MP, I know that every member of Parliament gets report from their supporters of what taking place in their constituency. So as a pastor, where the people say, Pastor, me no want you call me name, but at this I go on, and at this a time of night, right? Because, my God, we believe that these guys who are out there in the nights when their wife and children are home alone, they are policemen, right? They are out there. They alone cannot solve this. I'm glad to hear the way you are approaching it, that community involvement, right? And you have to have some special people telling you. In other words, there are some community police not going to talk to the national police force, but you have to find a way.
I found that the community police initiative, Robert Miller, Colonel Charles, is very helpful. Where you have these officers who over time gain the confidence of the community, that they are able to be very helpful in placating disputes and also in channeling information. Robert Miller, is there anything like that in your area?
It is. Corporal Lord and Piaro, they are very active in the inspector. They're very active in the community. Right. So the case in point in Waterford, they have dispatched a team to the family for counseling. So they are very active. We used to have community meetings with the citizens, even when there's no crime at all. Just that interaction, And they are very helpful in the community in painting houses and stuff like those.
Yeah. But going to suggest something. The problem is very often those persons who are very good at the community policing level, they transfer them and promote them very quickly. And the new people who come have to reintegrate themselves and form linkages all over again. I'm hoping to gain the support of both of you to encourage the Commission of Police and the Police Services Commission that being a community police person is a career in itself as much as any detective or any forensic expert. Would you agree?
It is.
I agree totally.
Let me tell you.
Yes, Purnell.
My father was a
district constable.
District constable.
Yes.
A district lawyer.
Yes.
Right. A district negotiator.
Yes.
Right. And it works.
Yes.
Because there are certain things that people are not going to tell the Red Sea police.
Yes, which they'll tell the community person.
And they'll tell you, say, this is going to happen.
But let me ask you one other thing.
I'm frightened to hear the MP saying that it used to. Please don't use the word used to. It should be
Well, he was speaking of the community police that are there now. Yeah. But you point something that I think is another suggestion we might agree on, and that is the increase in the number of district constables within places like Waterford and Bridgeport. That's very useful, you know. These are people, these are pillars of law and justice right on the ground, Robert Miller.
And these are people who know what going.
Well, there you are.
And they know who used to do what and who are doing what now.
Yes, I'm sure you can find people that would be suitable, Robert Miller.
What I'm saying that we used to have meetings.
Yes.
We used to have meetings with the community.
Right, I got that.
Because of the pandemic.
Yes.
That's the only reason.
Yes, well, you want to continue that as soon as...
You know, but it's still going on.
As soon as possibly.
But persons on the community, persons on the ground know exactly what is happening, and those persons, majority of the time, has gone forward to advise the JCF as to what is happening.
Have a problem then. Tell me, what about the young people? What in Waterford, which is perhaps a more challenged community than others, are there jobs, are there opportunities for them? How do you, as a member of parliament, encourage young people to fit in with various opportunities? Well,
Rev, you once at one place, and you know I'm big on education, right?
Right.
You know, we've tried. I don't know, maybe you can assist me as a former Minister of Education, but we have tried in many cases to place people on programs, to do our CSEC exams, to go to Archers NTA. We give them a stipend, we pick them up at home, we take heart to them, sign them up, but they just don't turn up.
Oh my.
They just report for the
money.
stipend.
Wonder why.
Not only that, but you find jobs for some of these persons. And as they get the first paycheck, they stop going.
Wonder why.
Minister, MP, let me tell you, there's one little thing that you need to do.
Yes.
There are certain people who you have to, the pandemic is preventing, you know. There are certain people who you have to get to come talk to them people. I was fortunate to be one of those persons who were invited to the high schools to speak to the sixth formers. And when I outlined who I am, from where I am coming, them start to look at each other.
Yes.
I say, you know how I got there?
Yes.
I had a mother.
Yes.
I go to church.
Yes.
I don't smoke. Right? Yes. I don't touch the other thing.
Yes.
Right? And my father don't. And them start to look. And the guy came to me and said, but you lucky, son. Because your father never drink rum. My father said me go fix a bottle, fix a rum, car come, and light a cigarette. And I can't stop.
Oh dear.
And so all it needs was somebody to go there and open their eyes.
Okay.
And see, is that a crime in it?
I want to relate that to the little that I know about Portmore, because the whole idea of that city, the whole idea of housing developments like that, is that you can lift up family. What you're talking about, Colonel Charles, is the influence of family on your upbringing. Yeah. Robert Miller, do we have stable families predominantly in this area? Are there measures? Is there a desire to strengthen those? Do you think?
I really don't know the statistics, but I think, from the little that I know, Portmore crave for that.
Yes.
But it's just the same statistics like in the country, like everywhere else.
Right.
However, they crave for their leaders to have a stable family.
Yes. And
that's the perfect picture for them.
That's a mentoring that has to be done. Listen, talking to you, I'm reminded, as I'm sure Pernell is, of the very difficult 24/7 task of being a political representative, which I'm sure you're going to tell me before we part is especially arduous at Christmas time, when there are great needs and great expectations, and the MP has to be standing in the midst of it all and doing what he or she can.
That's a reality. The need is greater at this time of year. Everybody wants to have a Merry Christmas. Everybody wants a Christmas to be merry. Resources are limited, as you know.
Oh Lord!
And the work has to be done in the constituency, or as that's what the people vote you for, to ensure that the constituency is there. At the same time, COVID-19 is upon us. A lot of persons are going through hardship.
Yes.
But we try as best as possible to see how best we can, engage everyone. For me, for example, I seek private donors, for care packages, to try and see if we can give a family a package, and try to let it spread.
Well, as best you can. A last question has to do with garbage collection. How does it stay in your constituency? Because when the place is really clean, it gives such a lift, especially at Christmas time. How are you managing?
You have a one-off issue the other day when the garbage collection wasn't good. As you know, the garbage collection is really the jurisdiction of the local authority.
Yeah.
But I'll try to ensure people call me just to see.
But of course, you are the MP. This is an anomaly Pernell and I have been talking about.
So basically,
you have the responsibility, but not the authority.
Definitely. Garbage collection in Southeast St. Catherine is not bad.
Good.
We have regular garbage collection. And there's a shortage of trucks.
Oh, Lord.
But that will be, rectified soon according to what I'm hearing.
Yes.
But for the most part, the garbage collection is good.
Okay.
I just run a program with a bulky waste.
Right.
So we try to remove as much bulky waste as possible from the constituency. And that program went well.
Excellent. Well,
I don't know if you have heard this, Ronnie.
Yes.
I don't know if you're listening to the bridge.
What is that?
But you know that we have now discovered that we have the new variant in Jamaica.
Yes, we have.
Right?
Yes.
And so we need to tell the MP that he has to be aware of that.
Yes, he does.
And thanks to the bridge, I was
I heard it on the news.
Urgently informed.
Well, there you are. Don't worry in well doing so. Your people depend upon you. Thank you so much for this interview today.
Let me use this opportunity to wish you guys all the best for the season. Let me wish persons in Jamaica and the constituency in particular all the best for this festive season. Yes. And have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Robert Miller is the Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South East. That's part of Portmore. Yes.
Well, it's actually most of that is in Portmore. I think most of his constituency.
Yes, would be there. He's optimistic. It's a difficult task he has, and I'm worried when in what I think of as settled communities, you should have outbreaks of crime and violence. But he speaks of cooperation, and that's a good thing. We'll be back on the public eye after the break. Well, we have a boss operator for public eye today, Yes? You look across the glass and see who is the operator. My goodness, you see, what does the advertisement on the TV say? This station stand up like Portmore, son. All right. Thanks, Lafayne. Let's continue the discussion on something you're raising, because I think many of our listeners, particularly those in the diaspora, who think of Portmore in a particular way, they don't think of it as inner city, would be surprised at the statistics that indicate that there too are instances of significant, in fact severe crime and violence. No, what I'm saying is, let's go to the root cause. It's good that the people, as Robert Miller is encouraging, are willing to talk to him or talk to the police, and one hopes that would have some effect. It hasn't, as far as I know yet, or the statistics don't indicate this. Colonel Charles, somebody like yourself, somebody like every clergyman, every justice of the peace, the people who could be the district constables, the big woman in Portmore. Surely there is a measure of social pressure, social mentoring that can be arranged. Isn't that possible to help to prevent more and more unattached youth going into the fringes, if not into the belly of crime, sir?
Well, let us start at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
That you and I know. What percentage of the population of Portmore are immigrants?
Immigrants meaning?
Migrants.
Okay.
Migrants.
Yeah, but probably significant. Very large.
And mothers never leave them picnic.
Yeah.
Children never leave their parents.
Right.
And the friends come.
Yeah.
So in other words, we had a brand new community,
right,
brand new houses, but the population is contaminated. And that is where now we have to get in there to put the cleaner people somehow to clean up, because it is the largest dormitory in the Caribbean.
Sure, but wasn't this the whole idea of the original Social Development Commission? Wasn't this the whole policy purpose behind Jamaica welfare? Why do we have to go back in order to go forward, Colonel Charles? And it's not two senior gentlemen becoming nostalgic. It's a question of looking at that which can really work. It is clear that the sheer repression by itself will not work. Okay? It is clear then that community organization is critical, and that is what is lacking, is it not?
A lot of that is lacking.
Yeah.
But let me say something to you. When I was a boy, there were a lot of organization from the schools.
Right.
My mother was a part of the women thing,
Yes.
the gardening thing.
Yes.
My father was a part of the farmers of them organization.
Sure.
And they watch for one another and they talk and they speak to children. Ronnie, the teachers can't talk to certain people, you know. Parents going to go beat up teachers.
No, sir. Well, you see, that if that happens, immediately, that has to be put a stop to.
Should have.
No, has to, right now, sir. First of all.
Some teacher will tell you this, man. Hear this now. You see that one?
Mm-hmm.
Make him come sit down, stay there.
Or don't come.
Want to learn, he learn. And come a morning time and then go my evening
but
time.
that person,
and when the year is finished, we move him to for him chair in the next one.
Right,
Him don't know nothing.
yes, sir. But if we have
And
that,
probably, let me disturb you, it's not the majority.
no, but that guy doesn't have to be a majority. That guy is a problem for himself and for all of us in the future.
Exactly.
So we can't allow that to happen.
Yes.
I can understand the frustration. I can't tell the teacher to court violence, yes, against him or her, but I can say that we as a society, yes, we cannot countenance that kind of situation. There must be, but I have some responsibility for a certain set of schools, yes, and one of the rules that we have set is you cannot expel one of our students.
And I disagree with you.
Well, hold on. If you expel him, he may not be able to stay in that school. But if all you do is expel him and put him out the street, and he goes out the street, that can't work.
You need to find a place for him.
Well,
he's contaminating too many.
Got you. And you can't have that.
Yeah.
But my view is that if you put up a young person, no matter how maladjusted, into a uniformed group early in their school career, Boy Scout, Cadet, Boys Brigade, Pathfinders, whatever it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You look like an Adventist, you know.
I am an Adventist. I believe in the soon coming King.
Okay.
Yes. And I'll tell you about the 7th day another time. It is very, very important that we do not write off people, because that come back and boomerang, yes, and lick you. That is the problem. Let's take a call. This is the Public Eye on the Open Mind. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir Ronald.
Hi. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Good afternoon to the Honourable Colonel Charles.
Just call me Chief, no, me all right. Yeah, no, well, so too long for call. How you doing, sir?
Compliments of this season to you both and to your listeners.
Thank you very much.
Abroad.
Thank you very much.
Special greetings to Beau-regard.
Yes.
And I am taking this opportunity, eminent gentlemen, to send special greetings to two of your eminent listeners to this program, former Prime Minister, the Honourable Bruce Golding, and also to former Prime Minister, the Most Honourable P.J. Patterson.
Very well. Thank you very much on their behalf.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I must commend you on the excellent morning program that you have on the station. I have tuned in, and many of my associates are now listening to the program. I must also commend you, gentlemen, for the excellent discussion that you had this morning with Stephen McDonald from
Toronto.
Canada.
What you thought about that?
Excellent. The vast potential for products to be cultivated in Jamaica and to be exported. There's so much potential. It needs firm action, and there's so much that Jamaica could benefit from if there was widespread cultivation and producing of the many products that Mr. McDonald needs in Canada.
Right.
There's so much foreign exchange that could be earned. So I think the requisite policies, requisite action needs to be taken around it. There's so much potential for the agricultural sector in Jamaica that is not being exploited, which needs to be taken looked at.
You know, Chief Colonel Charles said to me something after this morning's program. He asked me if I have traveled recently from Mandeville to Westmoreland.
Yes.
Yes. And I think of you, caller, as being a country person. And yes. the reason he asked me that question, which a road which I'm sure you traverse, is that when you go down onto the southern plains, you see whole heap of bush and very little cultivation.
Yes.
The land is there.
Yeah, level land, you know.
Level land. Some of it has irrigation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, certainly the plains, before you reach there, the St. Catherine Plains, are heavily irrigated, and only a minuscule proportion of that which is irrigated is in fact used for agriculture. The urban crawl is taking place, yes. The advertisements for the Bernard Lodge intrusion into the best agricultural land in Jamaica were put out recently. So we understand what it is we are lacking, what it is causing our poverty, and we do either nothing or the reverse to alleviate it. What kind of stupidness is that, sir?
But when we don't have to go that far, you know. I went to visit my son in Southeast Clarendon.
Yeah.
And I said, my God, I wish I had dropped in this constituency 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's pure hills and rockstone way up the top.
Right, sir.
Man, as far as your eye can look. And he said to me that, you know, that cane used to be there.
Yes.
And after cane, what?
After cane, what?
Nothing.
Land, yes. Throw up.
Nothing.
Throw up.
Nothing.
So what can we do to inspire a new generation of progressive, scientifically minded agriculturalists, you think, Caller?
There needs to be some proper incentives put into place. The modernization processes that are being used in other countries need to be brought to Jamaica. For example, the greenhouse production that needs to be implemented right across the board here in Jamaica. Right. Utilize some of the modern techniques, modern agricultural techniques, bring them here to Jamaica, and allow those persons who are interested in getting involved in agriculture, give them the incentives and allow for some structured funding to be made available to them, so that they can begin to make some tangible contribution to the agricultural sector.
I'd like to dissect all of the points you have made, but I want to ask both you and Chief Charles the following question. Is it possible for Jamaica to become an inclusive, prosperous nation without a regeneration of agriculture? Is it possible? Do we have other resources that could take us there without doing what we are talking about now?
And I'm speaking for the younger generation.
Yes,
now.
sir. Yes or no?
And I will say to you, when a man have 100 goat,
right,
and one night a truck pick up 35 or 40 of them.
Yes, sir.
And by the time him go to the police and cry the other night, then come and gone with 10 more.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to get him to be in some part of our culture? And the same thing go for other crops.
Yes, it is so.
Can you imagine that you take away every melon, every pumpkin of a man? So you said it this morning, you know. What is really holding back a man who has the energy and the drive and want to do it? But when he does it, he don't get nothing. It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, but at the same time, Caller, it has to be done, despite these obstacles which are real.
No, we have to do what makes it able to be done.
Very well.
And we have, and of course, you know, they set up the new agricultural policemen, and they're doing a fantastic. Can you, a policeman know which car to stop at the court, 5 goat out of the back?
Well,
when you're such a genius to know how to carry man goat behind your seat in your back, and put them so many goat in one.
Yeah, but
man, easy for work.
No, I acknowledge the problem, but I'm anxious that in this discussion we come to some thought, preliminary thought even, as to how we're going to change this situation. Because if look here, God has given two main resources to the Jamaican people: our human wit, yes, and enterprise, and the land that we are on. What is on top of it, what is underneath it. Caller, we can't afford not to. If you separate both, if you yes. underuse both, as we are doing, you can't hope yes. for any good,
Not at all, Ronnie. And there needs to be the political will, the framework, the funding, the access for these farmers to have access to the technology.
Right.
But the major problem now is that there is one principal industry that is being dependent on for foreign exchange, and that is the tourism industry. If all the focus continues to be on the tourism industry and very little appreciation and understanding that can take us only so far in terms of diversification of the Jamaican economy. If we continue to ignore this important and high-yielding industry, the agricultural sector, if we continue to ignore this industry, we do so at our own peril. And
could I disturb you right there? Because I want to hear you on it. Sir, we have more hotels in Jamaica.
Yes.
We have the largest ever amount of tourists coming to Jamaica. What then,
Well,
where they get food from?
Yeah.
Imported.
Imported.
Food. Now,
yes.
so somebody has to say, we have the land,
Yeah.
we have the farmers, and we have tractors,
Yeah.
and as the caller has just said, we have the new technology.
Yeah.
What is it that is prepared, that is not saying, okay, Ed, bring the tourists because we have the food to feed them?
Well, he has tried. He has tried.
Yes.
But because the whole institution of the Linkages Council
yes.
is very significant. I don't think, however, we have been able to do as much with it as we need to. I remember before I left Parliament trying to bring together the parliamentarians who had an interest in the coffee industry.
Yes.
And to say the coffee is down, we have supplies. Can we so promote it in the tourist industry? Can we so serve it? Yes, that we are going to be able to part with, consume, or sell to them that which we have a surplus, and use this as a promotion, a come along for Jamaica. Regretfully, it did not work. Now,
there's one other thing I don't feel left out. Do you know that Jamaica produces the best chocolate in the world?
Yes, sir, and the best everything.
And guess what? When I was in North Central, they called me and said, listen, they have to chop down
the coffee grove. The
cocoa, because there is something that comes.
Yeah.
And they come and chop them down.
Yeah.
Nobody come back and say how they're to do the springs.
Right, sir.
And what you're to do. So,
what do you think is holding us back, caller? Because these things appear deceptively simple, but we are, our agricultural production is less now than it was during colonial times. We have to say that softly, because we don't want nobody hear that.
But it's a fact.
It's a fact.
And now we're going to say that, Ronnie, because the investment portfolio don't go to the little man up on the rock stone who produces two and education of the farmer.
Some would say, and we'll take this up with Keith Duncan a little later, some would say, when you put that little man up there has to come out here. He can never be economical. He can never be worthy of credit. I do not agree with that.
But yet I better tell you what I agree with. I agree with somebody, I don't want to call your name, but there's somebody like you who have the money, the time, and the expert to say to 100 farmers who are on the quarter acre and half acre under this. Look here, we guys are going to put this thing together. You're in an Irish potato area, and we are going to fund the planting of Irish potato. You are going to be our main workers and watchmen Follow me?
Well, I think immediately I start to think of the Christiana area potato growers.
And a part of St. Mary.
And part of St. Mary. And there's so many others that unfortunately haven't done well, but we certainly, even if, one of the things that I used to admire about Michael Manley, many times when he had a project or a program and it faced difficulties, he never put it down. He always had the energy when few others did to keep on try once again, go over the whole thing. And in terms of agricultural resuscitation, caller Purnell, we have to do that.
I wanted to be Minister of Agriculture one time.
Me too.
Because, let me tell you something, I would like to walk into Trelawney and say to all them round leaf man, so brethren, guess what? We're going to dig. We have a new tractor. We're going to plant round leaf. And we're going to spray this time. Round leaf, and we're going to start to dig. And we have, in other words, nobody remembers them.
Sure. And
nobody because you don't have to have one man have 500 acre, You can have 500 men have 1 acre. And really put it together.
Yes.
And we have the best round leaf.
But of course, and the caller reminds us of our conversation with Steve McDonald this morning.
Yes.
They are dying to buy what we have and pay an extra price for it. But we are gateway to the Costa Ricans, the Dominicans. One of the shocks that I had when I went to the Ministry of Education, caller, I should share this with you, is that we were importing juice concentrate from Vietnam and from Indonesia in order to give school picnics juice. Can you imagine that?
Unacceptable.
And all our mangoes are being eaten by
worm.
Worm on the ground.
On the ground.
And you can't drive your slide.
Caller, you call us to order,
Well, gentlemen, I make these 3 quick points.
Yes.
Rather, the revamping and restructuring of RADA needs to be done.
Yes.
And some of these small farmers, what they can do is to form themselves into small cooperatives, so as to allow them to have a more cost-effective framework of operation.
But that was what Purnell's father and mother used to do with the milk.
Yes.
That was a farmers' cooperative.
We have to milk the cow early because the truck is coming to pick up the milk.
And is that made the condensed milk that we all love? Yes.
The man make a 360-degree, pick up all the farmers' milk.
I don't know about the economics of it, but it worked then. What about now? Caller, time on us. Thanks so much for your company.
Thank you so much.
Keep listening. All the best. Thank you very much. Good. This is the Public Eye and the Open Mind. We'll soon come back. Purnell Charles and myself have been discussing some of the things that we'll have to do to coordinate, to be coordinated in order for that agricultural surge that Steve McDonald was talking about this morning and that our caller earlier was emphasizing. None of that is rocket science. None of that is beyond our means, sir.
No, because none of that is new.
Yeah.
It has started and stopped for reasons, either dry weather, hurricane, pre-larceny, or something a man just give up. But you're not going to win all the time.
No.
So you need somebody who can have a reserve resort.
Yeah.
That there's a reservation, there's a resort that if something goes bad. A backup.
Yeah.
Man can, hold him on and
but then you see, sir, let me point out, we inflict casualties on ourselves because before he had to demit office, the former Minister of Agriculture, Floyd Green, was talking about crop insurance.
Yes.
Now I know something about that.
Yes.
That's very expensive, very hard to get, but very vital.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and some kind of self-insurance or some kind of state-sponsored scheme with limitations, is even if you made a start, would give quite an encouragement into the agricultural sector. I know so many Jamaicans abroad who would love to retire and do a little farming, who would love to receive regular supplies of round leaf, of soursop, of tamarind, of mango, yes?
All type of mango.
So let us whet the Christmas appetite of our friend Beau-regard at Irie Jam in New York. Hello, Beau.
Hello, how you doing, sir? Good afternoon.
I have a nice East Indian mango on gear, you want it right now?
Of course, why not?
We were speaking
Blackie mango was always a favorite of mine.
We were speaking to one of our friends from Britain.
Yeah.
And I said, when they said hello, I thought it was Wagwan down a jam down.
Yes. Listen to me.
How are you doing, Mr. Charles? Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
I'm wondering if you are one of my old-time New Yorker.
He never born when you did that.
No, not that.
But listen to me, Beau. There is not a one listener to Irie Jam. There's not one one of the hundreds of thousands of Jamaican and Caribbean people who wouldn't love some reasonable price, fresh Jamaican produce, you know.
Of course.
Not true?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Who wouldn't love to be able to carry their diet, especially at Christmas time, where they would love to get, rather than having to do it themselves, which may not be easy, to have some wonderfully baked sweet potato pudding.
Yeah, man.
Reach up there.
True,
Yeah.
true indeed.
Yes.
True indeed.
Some-
We have
You
to
see,
have
you
some-
say you're born in Kingston, you say pudding, countryman say pudding.
Pudding.
Potato pudding.
Not to mention cornmeal pudding.
Yeah.
Now, if a man could put together a rum punch, 'cause nobody can make rum punch in New York like how Jamaica.
No.
Man
You sure
can make.
about that?
Yeah.
You have some Jamaicans in New York where really and truly can make some rum punch. You know?
Okay, all right. But I look in the industry, you know. Yes, and some class of ginger beer and some class of eggnog. Eggnog in America don't taste like eggnog from Jamaica, you know.
Because
Well, you might have that one.
The yard fowl have a particular flavor. Yes. So all I'm saying is that this is a potential for the future, no? Yes. Right.
Yes.
And as a mark of pride, people of Jamaican origin love to buy local food from yard.
they love in America.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can tell you, America.
Yeah.
Whenever you hear that something is going to come over about Jamaica,
Right.
you want to hear.
Yeah.
And music come on, and you know it's Jamaican,
Right.
it rock you. Don't
Yeah.
care how well. In fact, if you're in church,
Yeah.
you have to hold on your shoulder, right?
This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM, beaming to the diaspora, linking up today with Irie Jam Radio in the tri-state area of the United States and to the world, to Canada, to the United Kingdom. A special station designed to unite Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers all over the world. I'm Ronald Thwaites, and with me is Chief Pernell Charles, and we welcome Keith Duncan, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. Hi, Keith.
How are you, gentlemen, this evening, and all the best for the season.
Thank you very much, sir.
All over the globe.
Yes, your volume is a little low. Maybe we can enhance your bit. Man, got you better, much better now. Pernell, you hearing?
Yes, I'm hearing. Morning, Mas Keith.
Oh, you the boss, man?
I tell you, you got the nomenclature right, you know, Keith. Because I call him the honourable. He insists on being called the chief. Now the boss man is a legion of those two. You see. So we're dealing with pedigree here.
Yes, man.
Keith Duncan, you reported in an excellent interview you did with Erica Virtue of the Gleaner as saying there is hope for Jamaica lying in social transformation, which must be done surgically and to inspire confidence and renew hope. That is a joy for every Jamaican lover to hear. And yet when I think of the people on East Queen Street, or further down in the inner city, I wonder where the hope and is really resides and where the social transformation is likely to take place. Talk to us and tell us what your dream is.
Yeah. So, Ronnie, I totally agree with that sentiment. In that the man on East Queen Street, is he seeing it? Is he feeling it? And is he seeing it? Right? And I would say it's difficult for him to see. Over the years, Jamaica has gone through macroeconomic instability, lack of consistency in our economic policies, which has led to, us being in a situation where we have to ban our belly. And we have to ban our belly. We have had to ban our belly for decades because of, I would say, less than optimal or bad economic policies, to call it the honest truth. Just name it. And as a result, who gets on the back burner is actually the people who suffer, right? They normally are on the back burner. And we end up in a place where what we have is a significant amount of our population is we have invested or invested badly in our population. But I think, Ronnie, you and Perna know it because you guys have represented the rural poor and you have represented the inner city poor, and you have seen it. And there's just resources have not been applied as they should and as optimally as they should have, even if they were applied. And therefore, what we have is an underdevelopment of our human capital as a result of that. We see it bear out in our numbers in terms of, we have a working population of 2 million, and I quoted some numbers.
Yeah.
Of that 2 million, 1.3 million have offered themselves to the workforce. Yeah. 700,000 have not offered themselves to the workforce. Yeah. Of that 700,000 that have not offered themselves to the workforce, there are 215,000 that are in school full-time or part-time. That's above ages 14 and above. Right. There are 500,000 left. Of that, between the ages of 14 and 40, there are about over 300,000 that are not productively engaged in any form of work. And we know that the labor force includes vendors, windshield wipers, all manners of employment, right? So therefore, there are over 300,000 youth between the age of 14 and 40 that are not productively engaged. So where are they, right? And then of our workforce of 1.3 million, right, we have approximately 1.19 or close to 1.2 million who are employed. So therefore, we count that 110,000 as unemployed. We're not counting that 700,000
who don't present themselves.
No, that have not offered themselves for employment.
Right, but hear me now. Help me to understand. What I talk to some of those people, and they maybe they have the wrong attitude, but they say that if they go and they offer themselves for employment, like 60% of the workforce in Jamaica, they will be earning a minimum wage. And for our diaspora audience, who we are cultivating on this station and this program, the minimum wage in Jamaica is worth about $45 US for a 40-hour week. That's $1.12 US an hour. Like what that can buy, Keith Duncan?
Exactly. So so we need to address the livable wage. That's another matter.
But we're not doing so.
But for them to be able to earn also, they need to be trained.
Clearly.
And of our 1.2 million people that are employed, 767,000 have zero certification. None.
Look at that. Okay.
Right? So therefore, we're spending the same amount of money on education as our peers in the primary and secondary. Same amount per student, per capita student. And we're not getting the output.
Yes, sir.
Early childhood is where we're underinvested. I don't know whether you and Pernell can tell me about when my father and my grandfather went to school, they focused on the early years of school, and everybody was literate. Yeah. Our early childhood thing, it has not given us the results, and therefore we're cycling through the system children that are not ready. And over 50% of them go through.
Yes.
No, it's not that we're not spending the money, No. We're not spending it and getting the results for various reasons. And Ronnie, you may know because you're a past Minister of Education. So you know about the Education Act, you know about accountability, you know about that big, heavy education bureaucracy that we carry, right?
Yes.
And how do we optimally, and I'm hoping that the Education Task Force report that comes out of Orlando Patterson will point to some of these areas that we can now spend. Let me give you one more statistic, right?
Please.
Of $880 billion has been spent on education between 2007 and 2018. $380 billion has been spent on social transformation programs between 2007 and 2018, right? $1.3 trillion.
Yeah.
We have not seen the results of it. So it's not that we're not spending, right? Yeah. But we're spending, but we're not getting the results.
Why do you think we're doing that,
We need transformation.
Yes, sir.
And so hopefully now Now that we have Orlando Patterson coming with his the task force report, and hopefully now that we have the consensus monitoring committee in place, and the government seems to be committed to ensuring that we have social programs that actually work, that have some baseline, that have some monitoring and evaluation, that are customized for our own peculiar circumstances, community by community. We have to get it right.
But Pernell will tell you that one of the real difficulties in achieving those very, very necessary and laudable efforts that you are setting out, Keith Duncan, is a quest for power and the singularity of vision that afflicts those of us in the political arena, that the only important thing is that we get back or stay in power. Am I quoting you correctly, Chief Charles?
Let me bold Keith with it.
Yeah.
The thing is that there is the same politics of 1938 that we are using today. It has not been improved. It has not been upgraded. So much of what Keith is saying here, there was a break in there's no continuity of it. There's no development. When I was minister, 70% of the workforce, I'm not sure if it's not quite 70 or 69, was uncertified.
Yeah.
In other words, when a man come and tell us him is a mason, him don't know nothing about mason.
Keith quotes 63%.
Right. Are you saying 63% now, Keith?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Yeah, 63% right now.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Well, even so, the point to be made is I'm asking us to, in the limited time we have here, to zero in on why we are so stupid that we are spending the money but not accepting the dividend. Keith Duncan could never run JMB, yes, or any of our businesses like that. The PSOJ, none of your companies, your members, could tolerate that, and yet it has become normative in Jamaica. What are we going to do, Keith? What we must do?
Keith, just before you answer, Keith, because you made a point a while ago that frightens the hell out of me. The amount of money that has been spent for trying to educate the people of Jamaica over the last 10 years. How do you explain where it is, what has come out of it, how much of it?
Mm-hmm. We're definitely not getting the outcomes, and I think Minister Nigel Clark had asked for education expenditure review, and I think he has it in now from the World Bank and UNICEF, and I think the educational transformation report should start now. We now need to get transformational around education. We've been doing it the same way we're doing it for decades. You know what I mean? And Ronnie and Pernell, if you guys can remind me about what was the system that they had in place when my grandfather, what you call it, when they went to school and they graduated literate, but they just did not have the chance to go to university. But they graduated from junior, whatever that program was. What they made sure was that the population was who had a chance to go to school was literate.
Well, the fact, Pernell will tell you, but he when he went to school, he has told us on this program, he had the benefit of his mother and his father, who had readied him in not only in basic literacy and numeracy, but in the social competencies that made it likely that education would be worthwhile for him.
In other words, Keith, I got my small slate with my pencil, and I could count from 1 to 100. And I could know from A, B, C to Z, not Z.
No,
so I was ready to go to the vaccination paper and get into class.
There were lesser students involved, and there was certainly a different attitude among many people in the teaching profession.
Granny, don't move over that so easily.
What?
Every teacher was a parent. When you're in a class, the teacher look at you as for them picnic. And they want for them child moving on to the next class to have a credible situation to move. Yeah. I don't know if Keith don't have to look back into
Mr.
the
Duncan
teaching.
Speaks about social transformation.
Can we have a transformation without transforming the education and transforming the teachers' situation?
No, but that
how many teachers are there looking a job?
That's going to be
rather
very
than
disruptive.
being a teacher.
Yes. That's going to be very...
So that is a very key component. It's going to be education, and it's going to be investing in our marginalized, depressed communities.
Right.
That we have put on the back burner. And I heard Bruce Golding say at one point in time, when we were carving out a primary surplus in terms of our economic program and fiscal responsibility so that we could pay down our debt, he said, and I heard him say this one time, that there should carve out a portion of our budget for human capital development, right? And that should be a keep of a quantitative target, just like how we have a primary surplus target. But we can always carve it out, but if we don't spend it efficiently and get the outcomes, we're just kicking the can down the road.
Yes.
So so therefore I'm hopeful that on the education transformation that we can do, and we need to continue to push civil society, private sector, and everybody now needs to hold the government accountable and hold ourselves accountable to make sure it happens. To make sure that we get this transformation and education we need, or we will just be kicking the can down the road. All this money that we have spent in social programs where we have not got the results that we're supposed to get because they have been in silos. People are all over the place doing different things. They're going and they're in and out within a year, and there's no sustainable, there's no measurement, there's no monitoring, evaluation, and tracking of outcomes into the future. So that again is another area of where under focus from the crime, the consensus on crime, the CMOC, Consensus Monitoring Oversight Committee. I sit on that committee.
Yeah.
And a deliverable of that is from the Violence Prevention Commission to deliver recommendations as to how to treat with violence in these communities.
But Keith Duncan, we can't even agree. I'm playing devil's advocate with you. I appreciate and laud you for the time that you spend, for example, on this consensus committee, for the time you give to the PSOJ. But tell me now, where are the evidence of consensus in this country right now? Certainly among our leaders. I was so disappointed that a week or 10 days ago there was a suggestion that we should make a seriously important move, start with the symbolism of the Queen being the head of state in Jamaica. And up to now, the leaders of the major political tendencies cannot simply agree. In fact, we have had the Prime Minister of Jamaica scorn the effort in this regard, because it was proposed by somebody else. Keith Duncan, can the PSOJ, can people like yourself, extremely influential, yes, can you tell these guys to just cut out the crap and we need consensus?
I think the Prime Minister has called. Ronnie, just
Prime
to
Minister
say,
has called me and asked you to say.
I didn't hear the Prime Minister's
The Prime Minister has called me and asked me to ask you to say he has not put it to scorn.
Oh, what him do? Him phone PJ yet?
Well,
him call Bruce yet? Not Bruce. Him call Mark yet?
I am not sure.
Listen, man. Stop skin up with anybody here. Enough respect for everybody. But that is foolishness. We if this was one thing we could have agreed on and can move together on and go into Christmas and say at least that.
I think the entire country is aligned around a republic status, but I don't know if they're.
But what is the first step?
This should be the priority right now at this point in time.
So tell me another one.
I think where we must put some priority is around these areas and getting. And really focus our efforts as a nation around these two areas.
Right.
Because if we are able to now optimally deploy resources into 20 communities that produce 70% of the violence in Jamaica.
Yes.
Kate, name those two. Name those two programs again.
Education and crime.
Education and what?
Education and social transformation. We have to get to the root
social transformation.
Yeah.
So the root of crime. So when we have to invest in our 4 to 11-year-olds. We have to ensure they have good early childhood.
4 to 11-year-old. Okay.
We have to ensure that we look at our at-risk youth, that before they're drawn into the gangs, right? We have seen this work in pockets in various communities across Jamaica. Yeah. I've personally seen it. PSOJ did our COVID-19 response fund where we did care packages and we worked with the JCF community branch, the JDF, NGOs, community groups, youth groups that we delivered into these same communities last year.
Well,
into these same communities last year.
We have to take.
The people in those communities are not feeling the love and respect of the rest of Jamaica because we have not put the resources there. We don't collect the garbage. We don't give them the basic water. We don't give them the street lights consistently, right? We have underinvested in these communities for sure, and put money elsewhere.
When we come back from the short break, Keith Duncan, you know the issue of fiscal space better than many. Tell us, are we likely in the upcoming budget to be able to find the space to do the things, to even begin the things that you are talking about? Soon come back. This is an exciting discussion. This is the remaking of Jamaica. This is a new beginning. Keith Duncan of the private sector organization Jamaica, Chief Colonel Charles. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99. On the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, Colonel Charles and myself talking with Keith Duncan of the PSOJ. Keith Duncan, let's talk about political economy. Does the political arrangements of the day, can it accommodate what you're talking about?
We are spending the money. There's not that we're not spending the money. We're just not getting the outcomes.
Who is responsible? Who is responsible for that?
We are responsible as a country for that. The government of Jamaica and the people of Jamaica are responsible to ensure we get the results that we need to get.
As we look at who forms the government, whether of the PNP or the JLP, do we have a structure in place? Do we behave over the recent times that will help that to happen or to hinder it?
Where we are as a country right now, people are getting a little bit a higher level of awareness. We see where, even hints of conflict of interest or any kind of issues raised around boards.
Tip of the iceberg.
Dealt with quite quickly. They're being dealt with now,
really?
And they are in the public domain. And we see the Public Bodies Management Accountability Act, which speaks to the composition of boards, speaks to the competency and the skill sets required for those boards.
Refute me, please, because I see the consciousness which you rightly observe as manifesting itself in people turning off and saying, "Me no business with them. I just want to see what I can do for myself."
What our job as leaders is to do is to show them that there is a way. So through the Consensus Monitoring Oversight Committee, we have oversight over social programs, right? So we are going to be working very closely with the various bodies, and I believe that Deputy Prime Minister Horace Chang knows that the social programs haven't worked. He has said it. Anthony Clayton, who represents the opposition on the Consensus Monitoring Oversight Committee, he has said it. Capri has said it. We now need to ensure that as they go forward, how they spend the money that they're currently spending through ministries, departments, and agencies give us the outcomes.
I really hope for the best.
We have that. We have civil society that sits on that Consensus Monitoring Oversight Committee, and our job is to make sure it happens.
Why you don't
and we need to put that in the public domain because we have youth group, we have church, we have women, we have private sector. We have everybody at the table, government, opposition at the table, and we need to call them out if they're going to make politically expedient decisions.
Keith Duncan.
People like Howard Mitchell and Lloyd Distant and a whole bunch of people and ourselves fought hard to get that consensus in place.
And
we're going to fight just as hard to keep it in place because we can't afford for it to fall away because of petty politics.
Why don't tell Andrew Holness and Mark Golding to stop them ism and schism? And the public of Jamaica need real transformation. We can't go on with this poverty business. This Christmas worse than any other. Only people can't even buy a Christmas meal, Keith Duncan. You know that. But the inequality in this country is getting worse and worse. Yes? You come from a table that can't abide that. Yes. No. But we're setting up all these committees. I respect them. I want them to do well. But frankly, I don't see any change. I see things are getting worse.
Let me give you an example. EPA was formed with the same civil society representation.
Yeah.
And it initially in the initial
and I hear Lloyd Distant
committee,
saying nothing now go on.
No, well, not this, but at least nothing now go on.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean,
because
let me ask you. You're talking to one.
No, listen. Since that, they have passed PBMA, they have passed the Corrections Act, right? And they have David Mocha. We have them where we are.
Say it.
This is going to push them to do the right thing, just as Epoch did when we were in when we had an economic crisis.
Yeah.
We were able to pull together as a country and pull ourselves out of it. Portia Simpson Miller, she sacrificed political capital for it, but she did what she had to do to right the ship along with the leadership of Peter Phillips. But I have to acknowledge Portia Simpson Miller.
Do you think that the political economy of the present can ever achieve a basis of reasonable opportunity for the majority of our people?
I think so. Okay. I think where we are right now is that Jamaican people are getting tired, they're getting frustrated, and they're looking for a way. And I'm saying there is a way for us to get there. The same way we're able to solve our macroeconomic challenges, we can solve this.
Keith, let me bowl it with one.
Mm-hmm.
There are two things that you say that is the beginning and the end of moving from where we are. Mm-hmm. Education and social transformation. Mm-hmm. Education has to be with the teachers. Am I correct?
Correct.
Whatever your money, if you don't have people who are going to be able to teach those who have slipped out and those who are slipping in and those who are in. That transformation of education, it's not good. In other words, it's not a statement from the minister that we're putting on 2 more years. And then people say, who going to do to teach them become it. Right? So, give me 10 seconds. I ran through Central Kingston the other day and I've said to my colleague, nearly 100 or 200 young men and 2 corners playing football. Some you can see the clothes them have on that them not changed for a long time. Some they've got them just changed. These are my brothers, my family, my friends. And I ask myself, after the football is finished at 6 o'clock, what next? But I don't know there's any way in Central Kingston all of them could live.
Right.
But somebody tell me, say, this is just for this 2 corner. Yeah. So my point is, the social transformation you're talking about has to be led by somebody who don't have no color, somebody whose color is to pull everybody up to a standard, a level. Is it around us? Is it there? Is it just the payment? The money is not going to help you if you don't have it, put it into the right hands.
Yeah. And you have to have the right programs.
Kate, let me before you go on, and after taking 10 seconds more.
Yeah, man.
I want to congratulate you because the way you said it, I wish I could say it. I am an escapee from poverty. Yeah. I was born in a situation.
Are you an escapee from tribal politics too?
No. Oh. I'm not.
Okay.
Because it's lucky you and me, you can sit down together.
Yeah. Not lucky. No, that's become the norm, Keith Duncan. I've spent 25 years. Your father spent his life. Pernell has spent his life, and I am convinced that the inherent tribalism of our situation is the biggest break to any hope of development of this country, and that social transformation cannot happen within the existing political economy, which inevitably leads to the statistics that you so eloquently and frighteningly gave at the opening of this presentation, and allows for gross inequality to become the norm of this nation rather than some basic integral sharing of opportunity.
Keith, your father, Pernell Charles, Scree Bertram, we are escapee from the hills.
Yeah, but that's you alone. Whole heap of people never escape.
Whole heap on the picking street that we know. Right? We work together. And we were different politics. It has never mattered. So it's not that there isn't Rani and Pernell. Whole heap of us out there. But I am still saying nice talk, sweet talk. I wish I could say it the way Keith said, but I want some action.
Well, Keith,
I want to teach.
So
I want to tell me how you're going to reform the education system and what is the social transformation. Not send someone to go to Augustown. So not send someone to go down to St. Kitts.
Let's give him.
Tell us, man.
Let's give him the final.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to say the violence. I am calling on right now. Let me tell you what I can do in my space. Yeah. Right. We built a working relationship, the PSOJ, with the Council for Voluntary Social Services, the Jamaica Constabulary Force Community Branch, the JDF and their logistics department, their logistics area last year, police youth groups, other youth groups, Red Cross, NGOs, everybody. And when we went and we brought care packages into the communities over 3 months, Paris Leo was captured the data, and we used criteria to determine where was the most vulnerable groups, where was the most depressed communities, right? And we're going to do this in the private sector. We're going to say to them, you have your corporate social responsibility budgets. There are 20 communities that we want to target in Jamaica, and we're going to work with all the partners, civil society, and we're going to target them. Yeah. The government of Jamaica is on board. We have started thinking about this already, and the JSF is on board. Yeah. But we are going to now go into these communities with the correct programs. Yeah. I
don't want to discourage
with monitoring and evaluation. We're going to demonstrate that this can be done, because
I don't want to discourage you, but give me the numbers, because the murders is still taking place, the shooting is still taking place, the young boy them still not interested.
No, but it's
the taxi man having
I'm going to give you one example of a community where the private sector worked. Salt Spring, St. James. Yeah. The commissioner mentioned it yesterday, or over the weekend at Honesty. But this was where the private sector got together with the police in Salt Spring, in St. James. And all we did, and this was led by a Mobe group, and the PSOJ supported.
Good.
What they did was they took on 4 schools, or 3 or 4 schools in those communities. They took the children 4 to 11. They give them breakfast program. They fed them in the evenings. They pay the teachers to do extra classes and homework sessions, and they did this for a year.
Can we do this? Can we do this across?
So engaged. Yeah. They taught them civics in the summer holidays. Yeah. They carried them out and exposed the children. 4 to 11.
Good.
Expose the children.
How can we scale it up now?
Go Rose Hall, carry them, go on tour, this and that and the other. Yeah. It costs approximately $300,000 a month. That's it.
Yeah. Look at that.
Murders in that community
it's gone down.
Fell from 90 to 6. Yeah. The whole community asked gunman them to leave.
Well, there you are.
It does not take a whole lot.
Keith Duncan, keep on doing what you're doing.
It does not take a whole lot to get this done.
I remain the skeptic, but a supportive skeptic. Colonel Charles asks for details.
I want you to know that I've been captured by Keith Duncan's presentation.
And that is why we invited him today.
And I am saying to you, I'm going to watch you.
Yes.
More than that. I'll be very happy to help because I tell you, I'm one of the escapees from the Barefoot Hills.
And I end with the phrase from Archbishop Helder Camera. Yeah. When I gave food to those who needed it, I was called a saint. When I asked why the poor had no food, I was called a communist. Keith Duncan, thanks for your company. Full support for what you're doing. All the best.
Thank you very much for having me.
Keep it going, Keith, and excite us with your presentation.
Organization of Jamaica.
Yes.
And that's it for the public eye today. Colonel Charles, thanks so much. And warm greetings to you and Miss Gloria and the whole family for the Christmas season.
Thank you. And I don't know who Mr. says. I have to say Mrs.
Her name is Marcia. Yes. Marcia? Thank you so. Yes.
Marcia?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Marcia could put up with a devil like you.
Thanks to Lafayette Wisdom.
All right, Marcia.
Thanks to Richie Rainford and all of the crew here at Bridge 99. And you, Beau-regard, at the Irie Jam station in New York. Beau, take care of yourself and thanks so much. Have a good holiday.
Thank you, sir, and same to you.
Till next week, Wednesday. All the best.
Same to you, Mr. Charles.
Have you been there?
Yeah, man. He's been listening to the whole thing. We'll get his comments next time.
Say hello to everybody in New York for me, particularly my family, graduate families, and West Indian student families.
Ronnie T gives way to Nicky Z. And we sign off for the Christmas season. Much obliged. Take care.